Hello, screenwriters. How are you guys? It's Saturday. I say that because it kind of impacts what I'm about to say. Um, Hope you're warm wherever you are. It's pretty nice here in Los Angeles. Um, you may be somewhat confused about this class right now. Like, what should you be doing exactly? Now, I sent out an email, and I will communicate with you in emails asking you for your beat sheets. That's really the key thing. I've got to see where you are. Now, a number of you have been taking this class with me before. So, Michelle, Christian, Jake, Duncan, you know me, and you've all indeed uploaded your beat sheets, which is I appreciate. Thank you. And that's partially because you have their beat sheets at your fingertips. I've also heard from Mark, who is really, for many reasons, is really not doesn't have the prerequisite for this class, so he doesn't have a beat sheet. If you don't have a beat sheet, i.e., you haven't taken 325 and prepared a beat sheet, you got an issue here in this class. I'm not saying it's insolvable, but it's a big issue. So, because this is a class, the second part of a class in which people are supposed to be turning their beat sheets into screenplays. And those beat sheets are based on public domain adaptations. They are not original screenplays. So if you've got an issue, and I've looked into people's backgrounds, and from what I can determine, most of you have taken 325. If you haven't and don't have a beat sheet, then reach out to me or Stuart Thomas or Jana Memel, who run the department, and figure out what you're going to do. Because class it kind of depends upon you having that beat sheet. Now, for those of you who turned in your beat sheets, I will have notes for you and direction. Although, as I look at it, and this gets into the whole Pride and Prejudice thing here that's going on, and I've never taught this particular class before, and actually Stuart Thomas is writing it as we speak, this idea of using Pride and Prejudice as a template, the adaptations of Pride and Prejudice as a template for us to learn how to do adaptations is a pretty interesting idea. And I say this because I'm doing the homework same time as you. I'm watching Pride and Prejudice. I'm reading Pride and Prejudice. I'm going to watch Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. I've seen Bridget Jones' Diary. So all of these are interesting things to do. Now, I'm going to give you guys specific notes that this particular module is about Act 2 and Act 3, and are somewhat repetitious of what things that we did in the last term. What I want those of you with a beat sheet to do is to, at this point, and I'll give you each of you specific directions too. You'll probably get them on Monday, maybe today, those who turned in beat sheets already. What I want you to do is, this is a moment to step back from your project. Last term you were up to your eyeballs in it, and this is true for people who haven't turned them in. You should revisit your beat sheet and see what it's like and read it again. And in some ways, I've got a bunch of students. I'm going to give you notes, and they're going to be interesting, but your notes are the most important. You've got to think about, okay, does this work? And look at the Pride and Prejudice adaptations. Look at the course material and really ask yourself these questions, because this is pretty insightful. This Pride and Prejudice adaptation that was done in 2005 is a fabulous piece of work. The first act is a brilliant compression and sets up the whole story. So, and the book itself is amazing. So use these, as I do. I use your work, and as I use other movies that I see, as inspiration. And did I do that? And is that working as well? Have I done that as well? Have I delivered the midpoint? Have I got a great active first act? Has she entered the new world in the second act? These are all reasonable questions, and I find that looking at other material is very inspirational. You may also find, and I think, Jake, I'm going to give you this direction directly, that it's useful to look at other movies that are closer to yours and say, okay, what are other movies that are like mine that maybe I should review and not crib from, but see how they solve some of the problems that I'm struggling with. So I would use the Pride and Prejudice material and dig into it as a source of inspiration. But the key point right now is you're sort of in a step back note-taking process. Allow, reread your beat sheet, reread it often, take a pen, write on it. That's what I'm doing with them. Think about changes you'd like to make in it. None of the beat sheets I've read yet are ready to go to screenplay. All of them are going to need work. And use Pride and Prejudice and the adaptations and the academic material that we're looking at as a key element. Another thing to think about in a general way is oftentimes at the end of the beat sheet, you've written now a first draft. It is a good time for you to think about, what is your movie about? Stuart Thomas is really big on, he's the head of the department, on knowing what your movie about is in the beginning. And there's value to that. But in truth, I never write that way. I write to some degree from my gut. I mean, the way I torture you, that's not utterly true. But I don't generally start with a theme or an idea. I'd start with a feeling and a direction. But now it's very important for you to know what your movie is about. So ask yourself that question. And some of you, I'm going to ask for you to write that up. Secondly, it's always worthwhile, if you did the 3 dimensions of character, redo them now, right? You learned a lot in writing your beat sheet. This is a good time to revisit. All of you would benefit from revisiting your 3 dimensions of character. The other area I can see right away in most of these outlines that I've read is there are big structural problems. And if you have any questions about structure or anything, there are parts of this that are the skills that are important for you to look at. Structure is not difficult in fact, but I may do a lecture where I talk it through again, because I can see that you guys out there who I've taught before are still not grasping it as crisply as you need to. So these are all elements, these are all skills, these are all things that you need to think about. And incidentally, look at the Pride and Prejudice Keira Knightley movie, that's the 2005 movie, and really analyze it in terms of structure. What is the Act 1 plot point? What is the inciting incident? What is the midpoint twist? What is the Act 2 plot point or the second plot point? What is the climax? Really crisply get this. So those are some thoughts. As I get your beat sheets in, I will tell you what I want you to do for next week. I will probably tell those of you who've already turned them in what to do today. I'll probably do that today. I've already written the notes. And that's the scoop. We'll be talking.